Welcome back to Celebrating Act Two. I'm Art Kirsch.
And I'm John Coleman. We're the co-founders of Celebrating Act Two.
And we're here to speak to you today about diet choices, or not.
Are you taking a pot shot at me? I know I could lose a little bit of weight, but really, what's this all about?
No, but I got calls about you. No, you actually have a diet.
I have. I
you
eat everything in
it.
sight. That's my diet. Now you are a vegan.
I am I'm a near vegan.
Near vegan. So you're a vegetarian? How does that work?
So we'll talk about that. So there are all sorts of kind of diets. There's Mediterranean, there's Atkins, there's high carb, there's low carb, there's high sugar and cake. That probably doesn't really work very well for anybody. But about 3 or 4 years ago, I got interested in, after reading a book called The China Study, in the health aspects of generally a plant-based diet, which means that no meats and fish, and they say if it had lips or a mother, you don't eat it. There's a wide range of thinking on this, but the China Study actually was interesting, and I was thinking about it for health reasons, to combat high cholesterol and high blood pressure and other kinds of things that my blood work kept showing, and my doctor said lose some weight and so on and so forth. And I had always been interested in it, and I actually went almost totally vegan, if not totally vegan, for about 2 or 3 years, and then I had some injuries, and then I decided I need a pity diet. So I started adding things back in, and I had lost about 60 pounds in a year, and kept it off for another year, and then as I started dealing with these injuries, I put on 3/4 of it within the next year, and then I began to ease back into vegetarian with fish and things like that. And really, what it comes down to is that whether you are extreme about it or not, plant-based diets, which, by the way, most of the meat that we eat are plant-based animals, like cows,
Sure,
and things like that. But you can get about the only thing you can't get naturally in a vegan diet is vitamin B12. And apparently, the amount that we have in our bodies will last us for about 12 years. And the reason why we don't get any B12 and animals have it is that they eat stuff from the ground, and it's made like the dirt that used to be in a potato. But it washed it. You poke some holes in it, you put it in the oven, and you ate it with the dirt. You got all your B12 from the dirt and the stuff that was surrounding your vegetables. Now everything is super clean. They wash it down because they're so afraid of anything, pesticides and so on and so forth. So in any event, I adopted pretty close to vegan. I probably still have half and half with my morning coffee, and I'm not looking that carefully to see how things. I am looking carefully how things are made, but I try to stay away from processed foods. And I think most people recognize that too much sugars and processed foods. So it doesn't matter whether you're on a diet or you believe in it or not.
The most important question, though, is has it made a difference for
So it's
you?
made a tremendous difference. There's my blood pressure way down. Since I've readopted the vegan diet about 90 days ago, I've lost about 35 pounds, and I'm slowly but surely working on it. I am no longer morbidly obese, so that was nice.
You're just obese.
I'm just obese, okay? Working on it. And my next goal is about another 25 pounds so that I can become officially overweight.
Now, but you're not doing the vegan diet to lose weight, or are you? Is that your purpose?
It's all part of it. I'm doing it primarily for the health effects, even without significant weight loss that it has on all my blood chemistry.
Right. But there are a lot of people who do a vegan diet as a moral choice not to eat any animal products.
Right. As a matter of fact, if you go to PETA, which I did many years ago, to find out what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Yeah.
What's allowed are things like Oreos, certainly not good for losing weight, and a lot of junk food, because they're not made with animal products.
Right.
Yet, when you study even more, and I've read more than just the China study, but in the Cleveland Clinic, there was a Dr. Esselton who was, I think he was a breast cancer surgeon for many years, and he somehow segued into nutrition, which you said nobody ever teaches you in medical school. Maybe you get 1 hour or one half of one course.
Right.
But after the China study, they could see that people who basically for their entire lives lived in an area where they virtually had no meat, and they had no diabetes, they had virtually no cancers, they had virtually none of the Western diseases. Yet when those people moved to a city and they started eating chicken and meats and other things, all of a sudden the incidence of those diseases shot up.
So is it a Western diet versus, let's say, a Eastern diet?
No, it's Western versus meats and animal products and processed foods.
Okay? Well, processed foods are very big. Foods add a lot of stuff.
Versus basically live plant, with maybe using meat from time to time as a condiment for special occasions in another meal. So in any event, this Esselstyn was kind of interesting. The Cleveland Clinic started working on nutrition, and some doctors who had patients who had bypass, and they were down to their last 6 months. I mean, there's nothing else anybody could do for them, primarily with heart disease. They sent it to him. He said, send me your worst cases. So he got about 12 cases, and he put them on a 100% live plant diet. And 10 years after he started, one of them who didn't stay on the diet died. About 10 other in a control group that just maintained a moderate diet of, not of his making, had all passed away or had other heart attacks. 11, I think it was 10 or 11 of his 12, all still alive 10 or 15 years later. And their heart disease had been reversed, which is basically the lining of the arteries and the veins, things like that, which either cause strokes or
well, you don't generally get cholesterol by eating broccoli. So.
Well, actually, but there's a difference. There's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. So you get what you need, and your body can make what you need from live plants. And interestingly, there are some athletes who are vegan or even more strict live plant because there are a lot of overweight vegans, because you can eat a lot of things that have sugar is not made with animals. Honey is. So
you can't have honey.
You can't have honey, but you can have maple syrup because it comes from a tree. But anything that has OSE, like fructose and glucose and all those things that don't sound like they're sugar, but really are sugar, okay, those are all the things that'll kill you. Okay, and even artificial sweeteners, when you go a step beyond to live plant, basically trick your body into thinking you're having sugars. So you're in a position where if you have a lot of diet sodas, you're probably not getting much effect because your body is craving the sugar and you're sort of feeding it that, and then when you fall off the wagon, you fall hard. So in any event, I chose vegan because I thought it was interesting, and I read the China study. And the interesting thing about the China study, for anybody who wants to read it, and it's forget his first name, Campbell is the last name, and his son, who was an engineer, a marketing major in college, helped his father write the final book, and became so enthusiastic that he went and he got a 4-year medical degree, for which he says they never taught him anything about nutrition. And now he has a nutrition center in upstate New York where he promotes live plant, not just vegan, but live plant, because again, in the vegan world, there are a lot of things you can eat that really aren't that good for you, even though they don't fit the ethical, which is where I think veganism probably really started from, is this ethical thing of not killing animals and things like that. So in any event, diets are hard to stick to. Once you get motivated. 30 years ago, I was a very heavy smoker, and everybody kept telling me to stop smoking, and I didn't. And then one day I just decided for myself I didn't want to do it anymore, and I was a non-smoker. Same thing sort of happened with this kind of diet. So you have to do what's right for you, but the truth of the matter is that not having meat or fish or dairy, you have to get used to it, but you can live perfectly well. And there are athletes who are vegan, who are at the top of their game, and you read about them from time to time.
And more importantly than that, we have living proof in Art Kirsch that vegan is good for you.
Either that or mummification has come a long way since I first started my diet.
Yeah, well, you're a good proselytizer for veganism, but you don't really sell it.
I don't.
You just practice it.
Yeah, you know, everybody has. If somebody asks me about it, generally I'll tell them what I think, and I'll send them a copy of the cover of the China study, or some of the other books that I've read about that, and then let them pick it up from the library and decide.
Okay, so as a parting gift to everybody who's watching, tell us how to find the China study. Is it online?
So you can get it from, the China Study is a book. They now have a second edition out, which I've read both of them several times. And I'd recommend that you just go to your library, public library, and reserve it. And if you're in, like in Orange County, there's probably about 20 copies, and you'll have one within a week if it's not in your library. There's no reason to go out and buy it. If you really are interested and want to have it as a reference material, then it's probably only about 10 or 12 bucks on Amazon. So that's what I would do. And but my offer to anybody is get online, go to Celebrating Act 2, look at some more of our wonderful video logs, of which this is one, and like us, subscribe to us, and send me a note. And I'd be very happy to share some of the things that I ran into on my way of handling the diet, and how easy it really has turned out for me. And I thank you, John, for bringing up the subject. I enjoyed sharing it.
You're quite welcome. And everybody eat healthy.
You're going to have what? Corned beef? Because corned beef or pastrami, which was your
I'm
favorite?
going to In-N-Out for a double and a milkshake.
And then you go right into Kaiser Permanente. Good night, John.
Good night.